What's up, everybody? It's Celebration Bowl Eve. I am Tolly Carr. We're getting ready for the big game. It's Prairie View A&M, South Carolina State, Mercedes-Benz Stadium right here in Atlanta. Let's welcome the crew in. You know this guy here. You usually see him via Zoom, but
yes,
he's in the studio. Muscles and all. Wilton Jackson. And over here, it's our guy, Stephen J. Gaither, always repping the Rams. You must have gone to school there.
Yeah, and I was finally able to afford a shirt out of the bookstore. It's Christmas. Treat yourself.
It can be like that. All right, you guys went to the press conference this morning. South Carolina State goes first, followed by Prairie View A&M. Steve, what was the vibe this morning at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium Friday morning?
Well, obviously a lot of excitement for both of the teams. South Carolina State just getting back to the Celebration Bowl. Second year in a row, third time in 4 years. So they are not new to this. Although Chennis Berry did remind everybody that he kind of has a different team than he had last year in a lot of different ways, starting at his quarterback and going on down. Last year they came in looking to, take down Jackson State, and it didn't happen. Jackson State handled them start to finish. So although the team is new, the coaching staff is still there, and, everybody has this air of, all right, let's finish the job this year. So if they can go 1-0 one more time, that's kind of their thing, right?
Wilton, you had a chance to talk to Tremaine Jackson, and he had a little reminder, a little bit of a soapbox this morning, huh?
It came as no surprise. I mean, he kind of pretty much picked up where he left off on Saturday after winning the SWAC championship. He said, some of y'all thought that you would see T.C. Taylor up here in Jackson State, but, here it is. No one believed that Prairie View would be here. And from there, from the very beginning, he said, this is a team. We're here. We didn't just basically come to Atlanta just for a Celebration Bowl. He also said, some people felt like we got the chance to come here, that we should just be glad about that, but we're actually coming to win.
Let's get the quote exactly, because yes. I want Wilton to be able to channel his inner Tremaine Jackson. Miles, I think we got the quote there from Tremaine. All right, say it with that Tremaine energy.
A lot of folks are going to ask me questions today that thought that they were going to be talking to TC. That's what they told
TC Taylor.
Yes. That's what they told me last week. It would be good for y'all to just go down there and get that experience.
And he was talking about the SWAC championship game. Steve, you guys go on down to Jackson. It'll be a good time. You'll get good experience.
Yeah.
Maybe one day you can win. But one day was last weekend.
Yeah, he was very adamant about that. He's been a guy that since he got the job almost a year ago to the day, from Valdosta State, where he took them to the Division II national championship, and now he's back at a national championship again. And, he said it from day one, his goal was to, play for another national championship, and now he's doing it once again. So, even though, Prairie View hasn't had the experience of coming to the Celebration Bowl like South Carolina State did last year, he and his coaching staff, and I think he said he has maybe 8 guys from that team, they have that chip on their shoulder of, hey, this is last year we let one get away from us, so this is a redemption story for us as well. And he's been pretty talkative since he got there, promoting his program, and he's never been dull, never been boring. And today was no exception. So as anyone would expect.
You talked about Chennis Berry. Let's get to his comment. We got a graphic of that because he wants everyone to know this is not last year's team. We're not just rolling the balls out there and running it back. This is what he said directly after the MEAC championship game when they beat Delaware State. He says, look, when you bring in 32 transfers, you guys do the math, 32 transfers, 12 high school guys. Let's see, that's 42, 32. That's 46 new faces that weren't there last year in Atlanta. It's about falling in love with the process, and our young men did that, and we stand here today, MEAC champs. I thought that quote was appropriate because you just can't say, oh, yeah, this team was here last year.
Right.
Well, yeah, but no at the same time, right?
Right. You have a totally different team in a way. This is a team that was battle-tested throughout the season. This is also a team that at one point in time we saw them lose a game to a team that hadn't won a game all season in Charleston Southern. And then after that game, that was kind of like the change of things, you started figuring out who was going to be their quarterback in William Atkins IV. And then they just kind of went on this run. Of course, closed the season with North Carolina Central and getting wins over North Carolina Central and Delaware State. And that really kind of solidified their place of this was the team to come out of the MEAC and the team to beat. And so now they're going to be tested because, again, if people thought that Prairie View was just a team or this was just someone that they were going to potentially be able to roll over, well, clearly they're not. They just took down the reigning Celebration Bowl champs last week. And so now this is going to be a really, really good game.
All right, you talk about the two quarterbacks. Let's take a look at their stats. You got William Atkinson the fourth, William Atkins IV for South Carolina State, and then you got Cameron Peters over there for Prairie View A&M. Steve, these are two very different quarterbacks. Cameron Peters, more of a dual threat. This guy can run the ball, he can throw it. Atkins is going to look to pick you apart from the pocket.
Yeah, I had a chance to see Atkins up close 4 times this year, watching South Carolina State, and most recently against North Carolina Central and also against Delaware State. He was a guy that came in as a freshman. I mean, as a transfer, I believe he's from James Madison.
Yep.
So I got a chance to talk to him today. He talked about, having been in bowl games before, but this one being different and being special. He was a guy that started the season kind of, trying to see if he was going to become the guy. And then I went over to the self-proclaimed greatest homecoming on earth when they took on A&T, and they made a switch to him at quarterback this year, and they haven't looked back since then. So, they're a team that at any moment can be very quick strike. I was able to catch them against North Carolina Central, where they put up 17 points in a hurry and put North Carolina Central in a hole. The game they were able to eventually get out of the hole, but they can score really quickly, and it's something that this defense is going to have to be aware of for sure.
Well, you saw Atkins up close and personal. You had a chance to see Cameron Peters as recently as last week, Wilton, SWAC championship game. We got highlights of that against Jackson State.
Right.
This is a kid who struggled against Alabama State.
Right.
Had those 4 picks.
Yep.
But, man, he really came back and sealed the deal for his team last weekend. See Cameron Peters right there against Jackson State SWAC championship game on the road.
Yep. No, he absolutely did, and that's why I asked Coach Jackson today in the press conference what switched for him. And he said he basically brought up the fact of when he benched Cameron Peters because obviously Cameron wasn't playing up to the potential that he needed him to play up to. And, of course, obviously you had Tevin Carter to come in, and then they went back to Cameron Peters. But you're seeing a confident Cameron Peters, not only just with running the ball, but last week you saw him basically deliver passes to his receivers with ease. You're talking about the last 3 games of the season for them. They scored over 40 points. And granted, it was against SWAC lower tier teams, but they came against Jackson State, and he was able to connect with Josiah Rockwell. He was able to connect with Andre Dennis. I mean, with big plays, especially consistent plays. But I think the game changer that could also be a game changer for them against South Carolina State is that rushing attack from Cameron Peters, whether if it's an inside zone or if he's finding a way to, scramble in and out of the pocket. But he's a very dangerous guy, and he's been clicking at the right time.
All right, we'll take a look here in just a second at some of the stats, the team stats, and compare these two offenses. But the one thing, Steve, we always see with the Celebration Bowl is a contrast of styles. The MEAC has one style, the SWAC has another style. And that flip-flop. Sometimes one conference is more finesse, speed, play calling, and sometimes the other guys are just getting it out of the mud and winning the battle up front. And they're more tough, a more physical team. Steve, what do you think the contrast will be this year between the MEAC and SWAC styles of play?
I think there'll be some of that, but I think it'll be kind of maybe reverse of what you're expecting. It's funny that you said out of the mud. That's literally what Tremaine Jackson entered his press conference with after giving us the acronym OTM. So he believes in that. He's I believe, a former defensive lineman. And so, that is a part of his DNA, even though the SWAC is normally known as a more finesse offensive type league. And then you've got Chennis Berry, who obviously, is a former offensive lineman, offense heavy. Last year they came in with quarterback Eric Phoenix. This year they've got Atkins. But, they like to throw the ball around. They can run the ball, but they like to throw the ball around. And, you talk about the run game. It's going to be interesting because, again, the last 2 games I saw them against Central and Delaware State, both teams were able to have success running the ball. Now, those happen to mostly be running backs, but, there's some gaps to be had in their run defense, I think. So.
Wilton, South Carolina State may do it more by committee. Prairie View may be more of a two-headed monster with their lead tailback and their quarterback. You talked earlier in the week about another stat that'll jump out. Let's just say the running games kind of negate each other. Let's just say South Carolina's on one, Prairie View does what they do. You talked about that third down conversion.
Right. Third downs are going to be extremely important in this game. They were extremely important for Prairie View in the SWAC championship as well. They went 10 of 21. That's unheard of against Jackson State. They held Jackson State to 2 of 10 in that SWAC championship. I can guarantee you, if Prairie View is able to hold South Carolina State to at least 4 third down conversions, they probably win this game unless they have 1, 2, 3 turnovers of such. But other than that, like, third downs are going to be key. And I think a lot of that's going to come down to, if you're Prairie View, are you able to run the ball? And not even just with your 2 running backs, but then if it comes down to Cameron Peters running the ball, are you able to get those third downs on like a 3rd and 4 or a 3rd and 5? Or is South Carolina State's defense, getting you off the field? And then if you're South Carolina State, are you able to pick up those first downs with William Atkins IV? Or will you have a Josh Shaw who can pick up, maybe 3 to 4 yards on third down to keep those drives alive?
And you look at these two teams, look, they're scoring about the same, right, at 31 points per game. Average yards, 10 yards here or there. We're going to call that one even. The advantage goes to rushing, like we said, to Prairie View A&M. But passing yards, it flips right back over to South Carolina State. So that's why those total offense, average numbers are right there together, 420, 430. And the third down conversions, pretty much the same as well. One thing we don't give enough credit for, we didn't even do a graphic for it, Michael Lunds. Mm-hmm. This guy, defensive line, he's player of the year everywhere. But you saw what Prairie View did up front against Jackson State. Guys, the line of scrimmage. Yep. This one's going to be a big one.
Yep. No, absolutely. I mean, basically Prairie View legitimized or limited Quincy Ivory. They limited Jeremiah Williams. And so this week it'll be, how can Prairie View limit Michael Lunds? How do they basically not allow the ball to get in the hands of Jared Washington? They have the blueprint to do it. They did it against, like I said, the SWAC champs. They have to do it again against South Carolina State.
Line of scrimmage, Steve. Will that be the determining factor?
I think that's going to be definitely a big factor, but then also special teams. Again, that's something that we don't always talk about in that, but, one of the things, one loss that South Carolina State did have was their punter last year, Dyson. He went to, who was very big in the Celebration Bowl a couple years back when they won, Dyson Roberts. He actually transferred over to Dell State. So, so field position is going to be key. Again, we saw last week where Prairie View held the ball for almost 40 minutes. Yep. And, if you can do that, you're always going to give yourself a chance. And again, as quick striking as South Carolina State can be, they don't want to. I don't think they want to have that type of disadvantage in that regard. So, we saw that. Literally, Prairie View wants to literally get it out of the mud. So, I'm going to be looking forward to that and seeing how that works out.
This is going to be the 10th Celebration Bowl. Steve, you've been to every single one, right, since the inception. It's almost like 10 little football games into one, because when they go to timeout, man, it is a timeout of all timeouts. If you're sitting at home, you might not really get and understand the break in momentum, because maybe you get up, go to the fridge, flip, watch something else, come back. But, Steve, when you're in that stadium, those are long timeouts. And I say that to say those third down conversions, keeping the drive alive, lets you build momentum so you don't have to go back on the sideline. Watch Mickey Mouse step. Watch Steve with his big donation to the Winston-Salem State Alumni Association. You don't get all these things and then have to go back out there and find your groove again. Like, it feels very different than a regular season HBCU game.
Yeah, for sure. Again, that's where maybe South Carolina State staff may have a bit of an edge. Just because they were there last year and they've kind of experienced it. When I watched the walkthroughs today, South Carolina State seemed a lot more relaxed, seemed a lot more laid back. And so, we'll see how that manifests itself in the game. I don't know. Did they think that they were not loose enough last year? Were they too loose? Well, who knows? We'll have to see. But I do know that the Prairie View.
Let's break down the body language. He's got his hands in his pockets. There's other guys rubbing his hands.
One is on the knee.
Buddy right here has just got his hands. Steve, if we break
they
down
for the camera a little bit, there was no posing. There was no posing over for Prairie View A&M. They had the Southern Soul on the big Bluetooth speaker out there, but they were getting after it. Tremaine Jackson.
All right, I see helmets and pads. All right, that's okay.
They were very serious. They were about the business.
Yeah, you didn't see your helmet.
Yeah.
South Carolina State. I'm just saying. Whatever that's worth.
There it is. No helmets for South Carolina State in the media walkthrough. Sorry about your luck, Bulldogs.
So
As
hey,
you like to say in the comments, this is a SWAC show.
We'll see. We'll see tomorrow. Hey, maybe we'll say, hey, they came out and they were relaxed and they knew that they had it in, they had it in the bag and they were ready to go 1-0. Or maybe we'll say maybe they should have put those helmets on. I don't know. All I know is the last time when I did go to that Delaware State game, I was on the plane with some South Carolina State alumni, and I'm sitting on the plane. I was at the front, and the first person that comes on, I'm sitting there.
Wait. That expense report you sent in.
Hey,
how far in the front were you?
Listen, they said
was he in first class?
They gave you the chance to pick your seat. I let them pick my seat.
We ain't paying first class.
I happened to be.
No upgrades around here.
It was an airline that don't got first class. Okay, let's say that anyway. Okay. But first thing I see is a South Carolina State person like, I thought we weren't gonna win. So they kind of always have that around them, even now, even though that they're the defending MEAC champions. And I haven't checked the Vegas line, but
So let me get this right. South Carolina State said, y'all didn't think we were going to win. Prairie View said, y'all didn't think we were going to win.
State was going to be there.
So no matter who's there, we were predicting the other team.
Essentially.
We all did predict Jackson State.
Well, I wasn't asked, so I did not predict anybody.
I am guilty of that.
But whoever wins this Celebration Bowl, this will be. No, I'm sorry. See, I already forgot. They. I don't know how I forgot. They definitely beat Jackson State. I definitely saw that ring flash a couple of times. So everybody feels disrespected. Nobody's happy. Nobody thought anybody was going to be here, so here we go. So the press conference afterwards will be good.
All right. Speaking of no one's happy, let's go to the comments. This is what people have to say. James Bennett says, angrily. No, just kidding, James. Why is PV schedule always cheapened when all of the SWAC teams play each other? I'm sure South Carolina State's schedule wasn't that fantastically strong.
Fantastic.
I like your choice of words there.
Fantastic.
Look, South Carolina State had to go through North Carolina Central, very good team. They had to go through Delaware State.
Yep.
There may have been a little doubts about them before they began the MEAC.
North Carolina A&T? I'm sorry.
They did win GHO. I've seen it all. I've seen the team that gets here, the juggernaut. Yep. We saw Jackson State 2 years in a row. Thought, South Carolina State doesn't stand a chance. North Carolina Central doesn't stand a chance. And they won. Yep. They won those games. Yep. So you never know. I think it's so cliche, but, who you played, records, it really doesn't matter. You got to have a good game on Saturday.
Yep, that's what all it comes down to. But I think that when you start looking at the schedules, though, this was and you just kind of alluded to it, a South Carolina State team. It's the matter of when they played those two teams, when they played Delaware State, when they played North Carolina Central versus, like, say, Prairie View played Alabama State, and then after that, in a grand scheme of things, it was kind of smooth sailing. You had Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Mississippi Valley. The third opponent is escaping my mind right now, but they scored over 40 points. And you're thinking like, well, is that what they've accustomed themselves to scoring that many points? Are they going to be able to do that against Jackson State? And they show no signs of like letting up. So my thing is you play the way that you play. If you're Prairie View, you play the way that you played against Jackson State. Now you get a chance to show South Carolina State that you can potentially dominate them, should that be the case.
All right, Miles, what else are the fans talking about in the comments? We had a couple of people. All right, Cam the credit plug. I don't know Cam, but he claims to be the credit plug. So if your credit score looks like mine, call Cam. All right, I want you guys to decipher this comment because Cam says South Carolina State not going to beat Prairie View with Atkins in that pocket. So is Cam saying that Atkins is going to need to get out of the pocket, or are they going to have to show some different looks? He doesn't believe Prairie View can be picked apart by a pocket quarterback? Is that what he's saying?
I think he's saying that William Atkins IV likes to sit in the pocket and deliver passes, but the pressure that Prairie View potentially puts on him.
That no-name defense.
Yep, bunch of no names. Is going to get pressure.
Those are their words.
Yeah, not ours.
Well,
but
there wouldn't be no names if you brought him to the press conference. Coach Jackson.
Yikes.
All right, Steve. Atlanta ain't that big.
He gonna call you out in the press tomorrow. He said, "I remember what you said about me."
Oh yeah, he did say he reads all the blogs.
He does.
He didn't
podcast.
He didn't
all.
deny that. I mean,
yeah.
I'm just saying. I would. We asked why he didn't.
Yeah, yep, that's true.
That's part of his thing.
Yep.
So the joke is they didn't bring any players because their players are focused. So they're
only
bringing players to the
after the
game.
Yeah.
They didn't bring any players to the pre-game press conference.
Right. So if Prairie View does at least halfway of something of what they did against Jackson State, that statement from what's his name? Cam the Plug. I think that's what his name. Something
Cam
like
the
that.
Credit Plug.
Yeah, Cam the Credit Plug could very well be right because I don't see Atkins really coming out of the pocket and making too many successful plays. Now, of course, the game has to be played, but I don't see him doing that. And so when you think about it, this is a Prairie View defense. From someone who watched them play up close and in person last week, those dudes are big. Those dudes are fast. They play very, disciplined, gap sound, control, all of that. So if they duplicate that, it's going to be hard for him to just sit in the pocket. And I think for South Carolina State, that really means you have to establish that running game.
South Carolina State fans are saying gap sound, gap control, gap band. I don't care. South Carolina State by 14. So we will see. Miles, we got one more. We got a long one. Yeah, Angela Johnson here. I don't have my glasses. Let me see if I can struggle through this. If you attend or have attended a school in the MEAC or SWAC and can't afford it, you should attend the Celebration Bowl, especially if you live in Atlanta. Do y'all think a lot of the people who go to a University of Georgia or a University of Alabama football game actually attended those schools? Heck no. You got to say no. When you say heck, it's got to be heck no. A lot of those people are fans of those schools. PWIs understand that it's mostly about dollars and cents. Winning is just icing on the cake. We need to develop that same mentality. We ran out of space, but the word was mentality, which let's bring that into the conversation of attendance. I'm not passing judgment. I'm not saying that we don't have that mentality. Those were Angela's words. But let's take a look at the attendance since the very beginning. Steve, walk through the vibe of each game because you've been to each one of these.
All right, so the first one, Alcorn State, North Carolina A&T, people didn't really know what to expect. It was like, okay.
And we're in the Georgia Dome.
They were in the Georgia Dome for this one as well as the second one. The SWAC showed up for Alcorn State, so that was a good one. Then you saw the next year, Central and Grambling State, both of those teams were nationally ranked. I think that's the highest rated TV, one of the higher rated TV ones. And it came down to the last minute.
Defensive struggle. That one was 10-9.
Struggle was for real. Yeah, that was the Too Much Celebration Bowl where
threw up them hooks after that touchdown.
Threw up the hooks off the helmet, a block PAT, and Grambling State gets the win. 2017, North Carolina A&T gets back to the Celebration Bowl. Grambling State back as well. Both schools had already been, and it was the first time it was in the Mercedes-Benz Dome.
We talked about this. That's the lowest attended.
Yeah, a little sticker shock, I think. For sure. So
2016 prices weren't 2017 prices.
Nah. That was going from the Obama to the other administration. So there's that. Then next up, we had 2018 A&T back again, Alcorn State again. We get a little bump up, another solid one. And then 2019, 32K again, our third Alcorn State A&T matchup again. By this time, the A&T folks, they're starting to feel good. They're starting to call it, what do they call it? Aggie, Atlanta, whatever they do.
If this was Happy Days, 2019 was when they jumped the shark.
Yeah.
A&T said, what? Celebration Bowl? HBCU, watch this.
Yeah, so, that was a fun game. A lot of points scored that game. Then 2020 happened.
No 2020 game because of COVID. We moving on.
By the time we get to 2021, whole new landscape. First Jackson State first season under Deion Sanders. Man, they were a force. Came in, and South Carolina State, man, I think they were like barely over 500.
South Carolina was 6-5.
6-5, but
I remember people telling me South Carolina State is not a real contender against Jackson State this year.
Yeah, but they won the MEAC. They won the game that mattered.
And blew them out. Blew Jackson State out.
Yeah. Blew Jackson State out there. Then the next year, Jackson State comes back again. They got all the fanfare in the world. And North Carolina Central has a good, solid season. But Jackson State has two guys that ended up being candidates for Heisman. And at the end of the day, overtime is, to me, by far the best celebration.
2 first-round – wait. One of them should have been a first-round pick. Okay.
Yeah. But he's playing for the Browns now.
And he's playing?
Yeah. So that's
we flirt with 50,000. And there was a little bit of doubt going into that game because it was fresh news that Coach Prime was leaving and going to Colorado. So I didn't know if people would be in their feelings and not want to go. But look, they showed out.
About a third of the team was in the portal, so a lot of their key guys that played during the year weren't even there yet, but they they had Travis and Shador. So overtime, and Davius Richard and those guys get it done.
Which was the better Celebration Bowl, entertainment-wise? Was it Tariq Cohen video game year or 2022 going to overtime?
I love Tariq, the video, but that 2022
that 2022 was up there. That pass from Shador
to Travis.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think the crowd wasn't. The first year, the crowd didn't really have the gravity of the game. So they had that laid the foundation for it. But I think by the time
50,000 in there compared to 25 to 30, that's going to change.
And then the timing of that play, Jackson State really, really needed that play to keep the game going. And the fact that Travis had came down with one of those touchdowns, we had seen him. Well, we saw him catch. His years at Jackson State, Colorado. It was just incredible to see.
Yeah.
And then FAMU and Howard, obviously, not quite the same, but still a solid amount.
Above 40?
Yeah, above 40. FAMU obviously showed up and showed out. Willie Simmons and his Swan song. And, think about the old days, man, the old days. And Howard made it. And then last year, Jackson State comes back. South Carolina State comes back. They get the rematch, and JSU gets the dub. TC Taylor and his guys get it done. Still a respectable crowd for sure, but, a little bit of a dip there the last couple too. So, yeah, man, and we get to this year.
Where will it land? Prairie View A&M, the Marching Storm. Everybody in town. South Carolina State again. So we saw a little bit of a dip. Are we going to hold steady? Are we going to go up? Or are we going to go down? If it was, 36 last year?
Mm-hmm. Over 36 last year.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's not going to be the lowest attended Celebration Bowl. I do think it's going to pass. That mark.
So higher than 25.
Yeah, higher than 25.
Lower than 36?
Yeah. I'd say 33 to 35.
That's about where you called it the other day.
Yep. I say on the high end, anywhere between 30, 32.5, something like that. But on the low end, like you said, not the lowest one, but somewhere in between 24.5 or 25.5 or something like that.
Yeah. Well, look, we'd love to see 50,000 in there. Yeah. I think there's a couple things at play. There wasn't 2 weeks between the game as has been in years past, and we know why. The college football playoffs have expanded, moved up. There's more competition for TV. This is a TV product, okay? It's dual. It's a TV product and it's an in-venue entertainment. But they need to position the game so that it will do well on television, and that kind of steers the ship. But look, Prairie View fans didn't know until the end of the game last weekend whether or not they would be here. Jackson State fans felt like they were going to be here. They had that confidence, but you're not going to put down all your money until you know for sure. And if you're a Prairie View fan and you put up some dough to go to Jackson, they had a good showing. Yeah, there in Jackson. They
had about 4 or 5 buses of fans that came to Jackson.
So we know where the economy is right now. Money's tight, so we're not sitting here, trying to hate on, the fan base and not say that they won't show up. But for full transparency, Prairie View fans didn't show up at home a whole lot. Now, can they turn up the heat and get excited? Do a little front running now that they're in the championship game? Look, we'll see. But there's a lot of factors and a lot of things that have to be considered. And I said this, I'm just kind of throwing things against the wall, just kind of spitball against the wall. Whenever it's a SWAC West team, then the distance between that school and Atlanta is going to be the greatest as opposed to a SWAC East team. I know that you have fans outside of the area around your school, but you still have many fans that are still located in close proximity of the school as well. So you can't count out that fan base. So we hope they pack it out, but this is content. So we speculate and talk and see if we will hit the mark. All right, guys. Picks. We got to pick. We're now here. You said you needed to go to the press conference before you decided.
I did. I'm going to make a pick. This is going to be a tight game. Very, very tight. I think that if William Atkins IV cannot deliver passes in the pocket and Prairie View's defense puts pressure on him, South Carolina State's in trouble. I think that if South Carolina State can methodically incorporate the run to help with the passing game, I think they'll be okay slightly. But if Prairie View plays very similar to what they did against Jackson State, minus the turnover and maybe a few other small miscues there, like that fumble on the goal line, things like that, I think Prairie View wins this game. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say, for all my Prairie View folks that have came for me slightly when I picked Jackson State to beat them.
Oh, well, now they got to SWAC up. Yeah.
So I'm going to go out on a limb and say Prairie View's going to win this game 27-24.
All right, Prairie View by 3. Steve.
I want to say my head says South Carolina State, but man, I don't know. Just being around the Prairie View situation today, I may be swayed that
those helmets at the walkthrough. Yeah,
I might be swayed that they are the team of destiny. It seems like a team of destiny type year. So I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with South Carolina State. I'm gonna go with South Carolina State, but
by
touchdown.
Touchdown. All right. Give me Prairie View by 4. So we got 2 Prairie Views, 1 South Carolina State. And don't forget, this is a SWAC show. That's what you all say in the comments. I mean, one conference has 12 teams. They start conference play in October, September.
Yeah.
One conference has 6 teams.
It started Halloween.
Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, just the math be mathing about who you're going to talk about a little more. But I understand. It's the comments. Opportunity for you to fire off. All right, so we have made our picks. FAMU is going to have to make a pick because they are looking for a new head football coach. I know you've heard it all. I know there are rumors galore, but we're going to give you the man that will give you the information directly from the source. Let's go now to Vaughn Wilson. He's down in Tallahassee. Vaughn, give us the latest on FAMU and the search for its head football coach.
Hey, this is Vaughn checking in from Tallahassee with some news on Florida A&M. Big props to my team in the ATL. You always have the best Celebration Bowl coverage. In Tallahassee, there's no secret. After a 5-7 season, Coach James Cosley III was relieved of his duties after the Mississippi Valley State game. Another loss for the Rattlers. A disappointing loss the week before that, prior to that, in the Camping World Stadium at the Florida Blue Florida Classic. An indescribable last minute where the Rattlers lost a rivalry game. And in my opinion, that kind of sealed the doom for this season. Coach Cosley came in last season and had a winning record at 7-5. This year followed that up with a 5-7. The university and the president decided to move in a different direction. That has heated up speculation in Tallahassee. There was speculation and reports that Quinn Gray had reached a deal with the university. Those have turned out to have no merit. I talked personally to Coach Gray today. He would only say that he has talked to Florida A&M like he has other institutions, but he has not solidified a plan for his future. He's at the state championships recruiting at this moment for Albany State University. So that's where that stands. Obviously, a lot of movement, a lot of names circulating. A lot of names circulating. But the truth of the matter is Quinn Gray has not been offered by Florida A&M at this point, but he does admit that he is talking to Florida A&M among other schools. One more thing that's very important from Tallahassee to ATL, throwing it back there, tonight's Red Lobster Band of the Year has an interesting twist. FAMU head drum major Oluwamadupe Aloyede, commonly known as Dupe, was set to graduate tonight. Tonight is graduation night at Florida A&M University. She's prepared her life to be in music. She's prepared her life to be in front of people. Her dream of being a part of a possible repeat at the Band of the Year prompted her to delay her graduation to the spring. So while there's been several reports of people saying it's not relevant to them, and I respect those, but for Dupe, tonight's Band of the Year represents probably the culmination of her career. It'll be her last time leading the marching band on the field at a football game. So that'll be something to keep your eyes on tonight at the ESPN Red Lobster Band of the Year competition. FAMU head drum major Dupe Oloyede decided to forego graduation tonight. She will graduate with honors in the spring. All right, guys, back to you in Atlanta.
All right, thank you, Vaughn. So shout out to Dupe. She is going to wait until the spring because it is a big, big night tonight for her in the Battle of the Bands, FAMU versus Southern. All right, we got to make a pick here. Who is going to win that one? Well, what's the better matchup? Is it the Celebration Bowl or the Battle of the Bands? Also, shout out Fayetteville State Miles College. They'll be in the Division II battle.
Well, it's the Red Lobster Band of the Year.
Okay, thank you.
It's the Red Lobster Band of the Year, and I think this is a heavyweight matchup. Again, there's two of them. So we got the Division II. We've got Miles against Fayetteville State. So that's a new name for a lot of people. And
Marching
then,
Bronco Express.
Yeah, those guys.
Shout out Cumberland County. I used to live in Fayetteville for a hot minute.
Yeah, they got instruments. And then you've got FAMU versus Southern. Southern is my favorite band overall.
Wilton's too.
Human Jukebox. So
even though you got a little FAMU green on right there.
So I think that's
going against the SWAC.
I think that's going to be a major battle. All year, we've been able to give out the band rankings and be on top of the band story. And I think it's really interesting in a year where you had some folks who decided they didn't want to participate. Yeah. They have said that certain types of bands don't get the respect or would never win this competition. And then you've got Southern here. I mean, they did what everybody says they want to do, start in the A and end in the A. So, they're going against the defending national champions at the Division I level, FAMU Marching 100. We know what their pedigree is. So I'm looking forward to an explosive band battle. And
Wilton, what will be the difference tonight? Will it be song selection? Will that help take it over? Will it just get that edge? Will it be formations? And look, guys, I can't carry a note in a bucket. I'm just trying to set Wilton up here. What will be the difference tonight between winning and coming in second place? I
don't think it's so much of the song selection. I think a lot of it comes down to like the formation with those songs. Because you could play, you could have a great song, play it well, but if there's nothing really connected to it, almost kind of like, this might sound really crazy. You ever had a piece of chicken off the grill that it's good? It's okay. It's like, it's been on the grill, but it isn't seasoned well, right? But when you've had a piece of chicken off the grill and it's seasoned and it's just really good, that's what I mean when I say, like, there's a song, you could play it and it's just, okay, you played it, it's okay. But when you have the right design of a field show to go along with that song and you have the crowd to kind of go along with you, I think that makes a difference. And I think that both bands are capable of doing it. I've seen FAMU's, a couple of their halftime shows that they had broadcast on TV, and I thought they were really solid. I also liked what I saw from Southern as well. And I think that I will pick the advantage in that particular band battle to Southern. I think a lot of that has been due to the fact that, they're obviously playing in the loss of Caleb Wilson. And I think that has really fueled them to a new level this year. And I think they get the job done. And as far as the D2 level, I think Miles gets it done.
One of the things is going to be precision. Last year, FAMU took on the defending champion, North Carolina A&T, and from what I understand and what I gather, there were some drops. It's just like in a football game.
Yeah.
Some drops. They're really paying attention to all these minute things that maybe some of us wouldn't catch or you might see, but it's literally like.
I mean, could it come down to a baton drop?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
From the auxiliary.
Like if a drummer drops his drumstick or a missed flash, like if it's a trumpet or trombone, like all those things matter now.
All the small, it's just like in football. All the small things matter. So I think that's what makes it. And as you can see, a lot of people have talked about this competition and want to downplay it and things like that. But obviously, as we heard with the young lady Dupe, the FAMU head drum major, this means a lot to her. She's literally said, hey, I'm going to wait and walk in the spring instead of walking tonight because I want to, represent with my bandmates and do this last time in a major way. So I think that speaks to, the excitement around it and the build-up for it. So, I'm excited about it.
Let's quickly, before we wrap up, go back to the football portion of what Vaughn talked about. Look, Quinn Gray doesn't have an offer in front of him. That doesn't mean it's not in his mailbox. That doesn't mean his lawyer has it. Look, you know how these things go. We report what is factually accurate as of Friday afternoon, the day before the Celebration Bowl. In 12 hours, all that could change. On Monday morning, Quinn Gray could be the next head coach at FAMU or could not. Let's flash back to Fred McNair and Texas Southern. Like, sometimes the deal is done but not done. And then who knows what will happen. But if it does happen, I like the dichotomy of where we are right now. Miles, have I been looking at the wrong camera the whole time? Okay, just checking. I like green, red. I like the dichotomy of where we are. You got some big name coaches, right? You got Michael Vick. You got Deshaun Jackson. We saw Eddie George, Coach Prime, come through for a little while. Then you got those Division II coaches who are hungry.
Yep.
Tremaine Jackson comes up. Chennis Berry comes up. I think it's a good mix.
Yeah.
And it just depends on who you are. I don't think FAMU needs FAMU doesn't need a brand resuscitation. Delaware State did, and it worked out great.
Yeah.
FAMU just needs somebody to get it right.
Yeah.
That's it.
You're absolutely right. They need someone to get it right, and then someone who truly understands the tradition of FAMU football. I think that
you cannot go in there and not.
Oh no. Like we talk all the time, certain programs can't have bad seasons, even in your first season. Southern, Jackson State, Grambling, FAMU, North Carolina Central, like those programs, you are demanded to win right away. And if you're Quinn Gray,
A&T, no, too soon.
Steve,
you can't have Celebration Bowl week and not talk about A&T somehow.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Historically, I mean.
But I think that if this is Quinn Gray's job, for sure, I think he's a good fit for that job. I think that he would be able to bring players to the program. Obviously, some would come from Albany State. It also helps that his quarterback stepped into the transfer portal. Could he be at FAMU if he does come to FAMU? That's something to think about.
And we've seen D2 quarterbacks come to the D1 level.
Eric Phoenix with South Carolina State and Chennis Berry. So I think that, to your point about the overall coaches, though, to add to that, it's something that Coach Jackson said, too. He started off his comments, I was just a D2 coach that came in and, now I'm leading a SWAC program, Division I FCS program. So it's capable of being done because it's been done. You saw with Chennis Berry, you see now with Coach Jackson. So I think that Quinn could necessarily he could be the next target.
You like the potential of this, Steve? Quinn Gray?
Yeah, I mean, whenever you can get somebody who, played at the school, won a couple championships, now they paid their dues and get a chance to bring them home as your head coach, you definitely want to do that. I mean, hey, Winston-Salem State just did that with Torrey Woodbury, another guy who played in NFL as well. So, everybody wants a guy now that either if they played in NFL, they have been, or they are an alumnus or they've been successful where they are, and he marks off all the boxes on them. So it's just amazing how quickly things changed from 2 years ago when we were sitting here talking about Willie Simmons, and then it was almost
every other Christmas. Then
it was almost Sean Gibbs until everybody knew about it, and then it was running back Cozy, and then they ran over Cozy and ran him out of there.
Yeah.
So I think FAMU is going to get probably who they have been wanting to or been waiting for. So it's so maybe they'll be happy with that. And who knows? That might buy him a little bit more time. They might give him a little bit more time. A 12-12 record. It's not the greatest record in the world, but in a lot of places that buys you more time. But we're seeing not only at FAMU, but at other places in the HBCU space where there's a lot of programs that have had two guys in for 2 years or less. Southern, Grambling, all of these schools, A&T.
Southern again.
Yeah, so
Southern again.
it's a ring, but I think he would get the respect and the time maybe to rebuild a program. So they may have kicked and streamed into what they wanted.
Future of the Celebration Bowl. It's they need contracts. They have to renew things. We're 10 years in. We could hear some announcements this weekend. We don't know, but we could hear some announcements about the future.
Yeah, I think for sure we're definitely at a turning point with everything you mentioned, the college football playoff. When this previous deal was signed, I think, which was in 2021, this expanded playoff wasn't a reality. And so that's changed how things are being done over here. The conference realignment, the four-letter just changed their packages and everything like that. So it's going to be interesting to see the future of this game as well as a lot of the other bowl games. I mean, we had a record number of FBS teams that are now skipping bowl games.
Right.
So bowl prestige is not quite what it used to be, maybe due to too many of them, or maybe due to the fact that at the highest level, it's really the playoff money or bust. So, it'll be interesting to see where we go to. I think the Celebration Bowl's contract is through 2026. So it's usually by the time you start hearing for folks to, renegotiate. So we'll see. But hopefully there'll be many more Celebration Bowls to come.
10 years in, Wilton, what would be your grade, your take, your vibe on this 10th Celebration Bowl this weekend?
On this actual game or just the 10 years together?
The history of the Celebration Bowl.
I think the history of it is good. I think it has evolved over time. We've seen different teams have their runs. We saw Alcorn, we saw Grambling, we saw Central, we saw North Carolina A&T. My hope is that it continues to evolve and have different teams in a way. And you're talking to someone who has,
Because there's been only 8 teams who have played in the 9 games so far.
Right. And a lot of them have been dominated. Well, the earlier start was dominated by North Carolina A&T. And so...
and Alcorn. They didn't win one, but they kept showing up.
No,
like the
for
Buffalo
sure.
Bills.
Yeah. Right. So you get those teams there, and I think that what I think it does is, because if the Celebration Bowl continues to grow, that means that gives players and teams something to really fight for toward the end of the season, beyond just, hey, the MEAC championship or the SWAC championship. Like, you get a real Celebration Bowl-like experience. And you can tell, like, having talked to players in previous years, like, they look forward to this. Like, this is not just, it's just a game on the schedule, or like, name some random bowl that's going to come on December 21st or 22nd.
The Weed Eater Bowl. Let's pick on the Weed Eater.
Yeah, and it's
Weed
like,
Eater Bowl.
You may not have 20,000 people at the game, right? But
I like that Pop-Tart Bowl.
Now that, or the Duke Mayo Bowl.
Yeah.
Right? Like that, but those games, I guarantee you, people aren't just going to be watching them just because of the teams that's in them. They're going to be watching because the name of the bowl, right? So, but with the Celebration Bowl, people get the entertainment. They get a chance to see really good teams, good coaching.
It's indoors. You ain't got to worry about being cold.
Exactly.
You know where it is.
Yeah, no, for sure.
You know where it is every year.
Right. And who doesn't want to come to Atlanta?
Yeah, and I would say too, it just gives the end of the season a lot more meaning. Prior to A&T loves to brag about how they're the greatest dynasty ever, but a lot of other schools did not get the chance to do what they did when they did, as far as having one game where you're not going to play at Appalachian State, you're not going
North
to Youngstown,
Dakota State,
Ohio,
yeah.
You're not having to go play in those environments. You get to play in a controlled environment. It's going to be a lot of HBCU vibes there and people supporting the teams. And it's a feel-good end to it versus what you had, 15, 20 years ago.
And to this point, 9 checks, none have bounced on
true.
the payout, which is, it all comes down to, look, FCS playoffs, you got to spend some money. Celebration Bowl, Steve, you do what?
Make money,
You
Collect
make
the
money,
check.
money, money.
Collecting the check.
Yes, yes. So there's
Bring
always that.
them the money.
All right, well, guys, we've talked all we can about it. They have to play the game. 12 noon kickoff. It's on ABC again. All right.
Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Join us right here at HBCU Game Day at some point-ish after the game is over, and we can get our guys back over here to the studio. We're not too far from the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Just got to make it up Northside Drive, but a little bit of traffic, you know. So we get our guys settled. We'll bring it to you here. We'll talk about it, take your comments, and see how we all feel about the outcome of the Celebration Bowl. So until then, he's Wilton Jackson. He's Stephen J. Gaither. I'm Tolly Carr. We're in Atlanta. We'll talk to you on Saturday.